Those of you who aren't seated yet, if you want to take a seat, we're about to get started. For those of you who don't know who I am, I'm Sherry Kane. My husband Bill Kane, who is running the video, and I are co-chairs of the Hershey's Mill Technology Committee, and this is another program that we bring to you, and we are very pleased to have this program here today. The first time that Mike Miles was here was in June, and Mike is with Hearing Loss Association of America, Chester County chapter. It's quite an active chapter, and we're very grateful that they will spend their time coming here to Hershey's Mill to talk to us. In June, Mike talked about more the social aspects of hearing loss and gave absolutely fabulous tips on how to cope socially and how to deal with someone in your family or a loved one or a good friend or someone at work who has hearing loss also. And that was so well attended and such a good presentation that we asked Mike to come back because he mentioned multiple devices that he uses and apps and that kind of thing that he uses in his daily life. And so he is going to be talking about that more today, and we really look forward to that. But let's tell you a little bit about Mike. He's been living with hearing loss for 20 years. His loss came suddenly in his early 40s. He discovered Hearing Loss Association of America, Chester County chapter, and that's HLAA, several years later, and he's been volunteering and making presentations since then. Mike is the outreach coordinator for HLAA, Chester County. Mike's adapted to living with hearing loss through talking with others and learning what tools and technology have worked for them. He's incorporated it into his own life, and now he's here to tell us about it. Here you go, Mike.
Thank you, Sherry and Bill, for having us back. I think I'm going to do it this way. Is my voice okay, everybody? Is the hearing loop working? Anybody have T-coils in their hearing aids? Don't forget to turn them on, and then the voice will go directly to your hearing aid. I don't know how many have telecoils, but if you do, it's one of the most beautiful things ever invented for people with hearing loss. So, as Sherry said, the last presentation was more of a general overview of ways to cope with living with hearing loss so that you can live a somewhat normal life, but it primarily focused on the communication side of things, with a little bit talking about some of the instruments that I use. But today it's going to be all instruments. We're not going to talk about the different communication issues, but I think we do have some cards in the back, if you weren't here last time, that are really neat little summaries of ways to communicate with people with hearing loss and how your hearing partner can communicate with you. But enough of that one. So you'll have captioning down here. Hopefully you don't need it, but if you do, if you miss something, it's pretty good. It's the first time I've used PowerPoint captioning. So living well with hearing loss. Part 2 focused on hearing assistive technology, or HAT as we call it, HAT, hearing assistive technology, as well as the phone apps. Your phone is a really good friend when you have hearing loss. It's never going to be perfect, unfortunately, but it can be much, much better than not doing anything. It's a journey. I like to say it's a journey. That's an overused buzzword a lot of times. Oh, I've been on my journey to this and that. But hearing loss and working with it and managing it really is a journey. It's taken me 20 years to get to where I am today. And now with artificial intelligence, I'm going to learn even more in the next couple of years because that's going to make it even better for us. I might have said this last time, but it's a great time to be living with hearing loss because of all the new technologies that people are coming out with. Apple and Google and others are all very focused on improving their equipment for people with disabilities. Not just hearing loss, but hearing loss is one of the ones that benefits a lot. So we talked before, one of the hard things about hearing loss is it's invisible. Women can be hiding their hearing aids behind their hair. Nobody knows you have hearing loss. And it's just very difficult unless you do things proactively to let people know that you have it. And sometimes that means holding up a microphone towards them as they're talking to you. You know, that's visible and they can actually see, oh, this person needs some assistance. And it's going to hurt you if you don't treat it because of it being invisible. And a lot of people aren't focused on it. Untreated hearing loss is the worst kind of hearing loss, because if you're untreated, not wearing hearing aids, or you have old hearing aids, they do a little bit, but you're not using assistive listening devices, you're going to have difficulty communicating with your friends, partners, using the phones, understanding the TV. Missing, this is one people don't think about as much, is the safety. We had our CO2 alarm go off a couple months ago for some reason, and I sleep without my hearing aids because they have to recharge all night. I didn't hear the thing. My wife had to like beat me up to get me to a focus on it. But there's a lot of things you can do. And just things like understanding a lecture, like something like this. Virtual meeting, church. I have so much trouble at church because the system they use just doesn't benefit me. I've got to sit down with the priest and try to get them to change what they're using. And then the real issues with ignoring and not treating your hearing loss is the emotional and the medical side of things, because it's now been proven, especially over the last 5 years, they've done a lot of studies. Living with untreated hearing loss leads to all of these things. You start isolating yourself, that leads to depression, loneliness. People fall because the area in your brain where your balance is located is near where your hearing is located, those nerves. And cognitive decline and dementia. The percentages of people that don't treat their hearing loss that get cognitive decline and dementia is very high compared to somebody who has treated their hearing loss. This isn't me, this is several, I have several reviews that I could point you to. This is what it's like with untreated hearing loss. You only hear little bits, certain consonants maybe. But if you treat it, you get the whole sentence. Okay? So you're going to be missing little bits and pieces if you don't do something. But you can make it much better by not just the hearing aids, because they're not perfect. A lot of what they do is amplify and help block out a little bit of stuff. And they're getting better, trust me, with artificial intelligence. But these other devices can really make your life complete. Is anybody using any type of assistive listening device? ALD, like a microphone? The rest of you have a Roger?
Yeah, the telephone. The closed caption.
Closed captioning? I mean, that's one of the apps we're going to talk about and go through, whether it be the large caption phone.
That makes me ask a question. What's doing this?
What's doing this?
Yes.
PowerPoint has captioning built into it now.
That is so much better than the caption phone.
It is. It's better than some of the captioning I've used. When I'm on Zoom and you turn on the captioning, I give it 90% at its best, but you start using technical words, it drops. This is, I think, phenomenal compared to the other captionings I've used. But it's built into PowerPoint. You just got to turn it on and know that it's there. All right, so the benefits we just briefly talked about. So the communication best practices, that was the last session. And we have cards, hopefully here, that I mentioned that you can pick up if you didn't get them. Today, we're talking about HAT, H-A-T, Hearing Assistive Technology. This is unfortunately a myth with a lot of people, whether they have hearing loss or not. They think that once you get hearing aids, it's like getting glasses. You have 20/20 hearing, just like you have 20/20 vision. That does not work. Hearing aids, as I just mentioned, can help you with amplification and picking up more voices, but it's not perfect. Once you step into a loud restaurant, even in church, and distance has a lot to do with it as well. So there is an absolute need for ALDs, assistive listening devices, and the apps. They'll help you with your communication. They'll help, and we'll go into detail on all of these, with telephone, with TV, and the alerting, and the alarms and safety. Disclaimer, I have to always put this up. HLAA doesn't endorse any product specifically. What I'm going to talk about, or Judy or Steve, we're only going to talk about ones that we've used and have background in, but I will talk about some others that are comparable, and you can do the research and talk to your audiologist. All right, so let's start into it. This is my favorite slide. All of you from the 70s watched Get Smart, hopefully. That was one of my favorite shows. The very first smartphone, right? Agent Smart, when he had his shoe phone. Very first smartphone. But smartphones really are the #1 assistive listening device. There are so many things that you can do if you have a smartphone. If you have an old flip phone or a Cricket or something that doesn't have all of the capabilities of a smartphone, you're not going to get a lot of what's out there these days. You can get some assistive listening devices, but it'll be bulky. You'll have to wear headphones and other things like that to make it work. So what I'm going to show you is some of the things you can do with your smartphone. Whether it's an iPhone, which is what I have. I don't have an Android to show, but it has similar functions. I'm going to mirror my phone for you. And hopefully it comes up here. You'll be able to see my phone. Okay. So under your settings on your phone, again, this is the iPhone, but I know Android has similar type of stuff. First of all, Bluetooth, which we'll talk a little bit on the next slides. You can see that I've got my Phonak hearing aids connected. So they're working. That's always a good thing to know. So if I go to the general page and scroll down to accessibility, they have accessibility issues for people with poor vision, people with physical and motor issues. I'm going to focus just on the hearing accessibility issues. There's a lot of little things you can do in here that can help you. One is sound recognition. You can use this as an alerting device and not buy one of those other things. It will alert you depending on which one of these things you turn on. You can have fire alarms go off, you can turn that on. If there's a fire alarm in the area, it'll rattle and shake and vibrate and notify you. Smoke alarms, sirens. Maybe you let the dog outside and forgot about it, and the dog is barking. Well, you can have a thing on here for dog barking. I don't know if cat meowing will help you too much, it's a little too soft. You can set certain appliances, doorbells, door knocks, glass breaking, the kettle starting to blow steam. Maybe you forgot about what you were cooking. All different things, water running. Here we go, coughing. Two seconds later, my Apple Watch vibrates. Cough. Has been recognized you may be coughing. There's another one on here that will tell you if it thinks you fell or hurt yourself. You know, maybe I banged my hand or there was a reaction like that. Again, my watch is connected because it's an iWatch. It'll tell me, did you fall? And if it was no, it was a mistake, you can just dismiss it. But if it was yes, and you're laying there on the ground, you can hit call 911. Boom, it goes. If it doesn't hear a response from you within so many seconds, it'll call automatically if you want to set that up. So there's a lot of options on here for alerting, for safety issues. You just have to research it and think about which ones you want to highlight. Now, the one I want to bring up is Apple came out with something called live captions for your phone. Android has had the best captioning for years called Live Transcribe. That's on all the Android tablets and phones. Apple was a little slow. They finally came out with this. They call it a beta, but I think it's very, very good. So what you have to do is you have to click Live Captions Beta, and you have to click the top button and turn it on. And I turn on some other ones here as well. Now, what's not showing up on this screen is I have a little circle here, which is the live caption button. Why it doesn't show up, I don't know, but it's superimposed over the screen. And when I hit that and open it up, it is now, again, this doesn't show, I don't know why I can't get that piece to show. But as I talk on here, it's captioning everything. It's almost as good as the PowerPoint that you commented on. I find it to be very, very good. And I can be sitting here and talking to my doctor, talking to my wife, whatever. And I'm getting captioning right there, if it's really loud in the area. I don't have to use one of the captioning apps and download them if I don't want. So I highly recommend you try it and figure it out. I wish I could show you guys later, if anybody's interested, what this little button looks like and how to open it on your screen so you can be getting what I'm getting here. And again, Google has what everybody considers to be the best. I've never used it because I don't have any Androids, but that's called Live Transcribe if you have an Android phone.
Could you repeat that? What is that again? What is that you were just telling us about? What was that you were just telling us about?
Live captions.
My captions.
Live. L-I-V-E. It's
Live. Live captions. Okay, I got it.
got it. Okay.
Mike, will that work from somebody talking to you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. You point the phone at them.
Okay.
So the microphone's picking up them, or it can come back to me. Well, that's really what you want to use it
That's what
for.
I would think.
Is to the person sitting across the table, or you're going to the CVS counter to get prescriptions, and they have the glass up there, and you slide this under, and you can read it. Doctors' offices. There's a lot. This is one of many things I'll talk about, of several things that you can use for one-on-one situations. So anybody wants to see the screen later, please come up and talk to me. I have it on here. Oops, I'm still showing my... Well, while I'm on this screen, I might as well use the screen to show you the other captioning that I was going to talk about later. I have Otter. There are several out there called Otter. There's Ava, the Live Transcribe. Otter and Ava seem to be the two that most people use. You download them for free from the Apple Store or the Google Store, And the free version, it gives you a limited number of minutes per month. So if you use it a lot, you're gonna have to go with the paid version to get unlimited number of minutes. But let me open it up and show you. And that little microphone down in the bottom right, just gonna click on that. And I'm gonna start talking. And this should be picking up everything that I'm saying pretty clearly so far. Or you point it, go ahead and
You
talk.
can pretty much do the same thing with Apple Notes.
You can pretty much do the same thing with Apple Notes. So here's another option. Again, free, but if you're the type that uses it a lot, for whatever reason, you get the paid version. I don't know what it costs. I never got it because I've used it limited. But I actually find myself starting to, well, the good news of this is you can save all your notes. If maybe there's something you were doing, it was in a lecture or something, maybe you placed it up near the podium and somebody was lecturing and you wanted to keep it, save it. That's where you probably would need the professional version that you have to pay for. But if you do that a lot, it could be worth it. And it would save it for you. I've been using live captions because I typically only have short conversations when I need a captioning when I'm out. So here's another option. And AVA, AVA, which I'll have up on the screen in a little bit, is another option that many people use. All right, so let me get rid of my mirroring so we can get back to some other things. So, Bluetooth on the phone, that's becoming an absolute must-have. If you have a very old phone or a very inexpensive phone and don't have Bluetooth, and you have hearing loss, you really should make the investment in a phone that has Bluetooth as well as a telecoil. There are so many things that you can connect using Bluetooth. And I'll talk about that in 1 second. Well, let me go to it right now since we're on it. So you can connect to the partner mic that I'm going to talk about soon, the multi-use mic, Roger, that I'm going to talk about soon, table mics, Bluetooth. When I go walking in the neighborhood for an hour, I turn my music on, and it Bluetooths right to my ear, to my hearing aid, right to it. And I can sit there and block out everything else and just listen to that. When I go to the gym, same thing. And it's going to get better. Somewhere in the next 1 to 10 years, depending on who you believe, there is this new version of Bluetooth coming out called Auracast. It's already being used slightly, but it's being tested a lot. And the issue is they have to put the Auracast receiver into all the audio instruments, but hearing aids are starting to come out. I just saw my first hearing aid advertised that has Auracast built in. The beauty of Auracast is that it'll be making, you can connect to multiple devices at once, whereas the limitation on Bluetooth now, only one at a time. So if I wanted to Bluetooth to my music while I'm sitting at my table, great. But if the phone started ringing, that won't Bluetooth to my ear because this is already taking over. But Auracast will bring that ability to connect to several. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to have Bluetooth in your hearing, with your phone. It's coming with pretty much all hearing aids these days, unless maybe some of the OTCs probably don't, the cheaper ones. But it's so important for somebody with a hearing disability. We just talked about captioning apps. I have a few more slides later. And then the smartwatch that I mentioned to you. This iWatch, because it's connected to my iPhone, is considered, these two together are considered one Bluetooth device, not two. So all of these alerts and notifications that I set up on here, they show up on my watch. It's important for me because when I sleep at night, these have to be recharged. Now, I don't have any hearing aids in at all. I am deaf. So I have, I'll show you later, the sonic boom alarm to wake me up in the morning, which is pretty darn loud. But if one of those alerts goes off, like an Amber Alert or a tornado warning, which we actually had back in the summer, my wife had to wake me up because I didn't hear, my phone was over here, but I don't have my hearing aids in. Fortunately, I have this connected now and it vibrates. Vibration is becoming a very important thing for people with hearing loss as well, not just amplification and microphones and things like that. Being notified by what they call haptic items can be very helpful, having it connected. I don't know what you would do if you had a fitness app that wasn't Apple. There's probably ways to get it to also vibrate and give you that ability. Judy?
I just wanted to add that I actually bought my Apple Watch because I have AFib. And you can do an ECG on your Apple Watch and send it to your doctor. So, and then it can register other health conditions in connection with your Apple phone. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
I forgot when I was mirroring my phone, one other item I need to show all of you, which is so important. Hopefully it kicks in. Here we go. All the major hearing aid companies, Widex, Resound, Starkey, I have Phonak, they come with, or you have to download from the Apple Store or the Google Store, their app for that particular hearing aid. So this is my app for my Phonak. And they all come with built-in programs across the top. There's an automatic one, which is just sort of standard. That's what's set up by your audiologist at the very beginning. Because I have a T-coil, when I'm in a room with a hearing loop, it switches to the T-coil program. Restaurant. They usually come with a basic restaurant program that if you click on it, it tries to block out some of the ambient noise, the noise in the kitchen, the conversation right behind you at the other table. It's not perfect, and if you know what you're doing, you can go into the button at the bottom, ambient balance, and you can start messing around with it. Or, let's see, restaurant. Adjust program, it says, I'm sorry. And you can mess around with different levels. Or, if you're not technically proficient, go back to your audiologist and say, here's specifically what I want a program for. When I'm sitting at my bridge with my partner, these are the things that bother me. Can you give me a program that I pick when I'm in that situation? Or when I'm out at a restaurant and it's loud, can you adjust, because this restaurant one just doesn't seem to be working. All I want to pick up are the voices of the people right here. I don't want anything else. There's another one for music and TV. I'm not sure what they do, but they were sort of standard. I've learned how to mess around and make my own programs depending on what I need. But it's very important to do that and talk to your audiologist about these programs because they can be so helpful in some of the worst situations that affect our daily life, like socializing and going to meetings or things like that. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned that one. Okay, I'm going to get back out of the mirroring of my phone and get back to Maxwell Smart. Bluetooth we discussed. So, other assistive listening devices. Thank God they have come up with miniaturization of assistive listening devices so we're not walking around with one of those like the old days, right? I'm going to start with microphones. They seem to be the most common other than captioning. And there are several types of microphones. Partner mics, which are for one-to-one with a partner. I'll talk more detail in a second. Table mics for when you have a small table, group, you put it in the middle of the table. Multi-purpose mics, which does both of those, does everything. It can be pointed, it can be laid on a table, like my Roger, which I'll talk about. There are still instruments that can be helpful that are quite old, like the Pocket Talker. It's an amplifier, but it can be very helpful in one-on-one situations, and it's really cheap. I just picked up one because I've thought about all the different ways I could use it, and I'll talk a little more about it later. And then the Compilot, which Judy's going to talk about a little later.
You mentioned the partner mic. Does that play back through your hearing aids on the Bluetooth?
Yep. So the partner mic, you sync it with your phone right when you get it. And when you turn it on, it automatically turns on through Bluetooth, if that's the only Bluetooth device that you have at the time. You can wear it like I'm wearing it, or they can clip it on their shirt. As I'll show in a few minutes, it needs to be about 0.6 feet away, so really not much longer than this on the person who's wearing it. But you can be 20 plus feet away from me wearing it, and I'll still pick it up. So that's good. That's a good distance. Every major brand has their own type of microphones. Starkey has the Starlink and the Surflink. Oticon has a Connect Clip partner mic. I'm not sure they have a table mic. Widex has a 5-in-1 multi-purpose unit that does everything, as does Resound. It's got a multi mic. And then Phonak I don't have up here, but that's what I have that I'll talk about. So if you have one of the major hearing aid manufacturers, they all have some type of mic, but there's also generic. Let me go back a second. Those will most likely be proprietary just to your Widex hearing aid. You can't take a Widex sound assist to your Phonak hearing aid unless, I think, you get a receiver put into your hearing aid. It gets a little messy. I won't cover that. That is something you should talk to your audiologist about if you wanted to get, for instance, my Phonak Roger, which is super, but you have one of these other hearing aids. There's ways around it, but that's definitely an audiologist question. Here's just to show you the sizes of them. So this is the partner mic, the one in the middle. It's usually pretty small. As I said, I think all 5 of those manufacturers have one of these. These are so good. This is the multi-purpose Roger 1, a little bigger. And the one on the right is a sample of a table mic. This is probably a small table mic. The Phonak one is bigger. But the size doesn't really matter, it's the function of what they can do for you. They can help you pinpoint who around the table you want to be listening to. Maybe you only want the right side of the table. Maybe you only want the left side. Maybe you just want the person right across from you. Some of them, and you have to ask your audiologist, some of them let you push the buttons so you're only picking up a couple people. I was at a board meeting last night in my library in Easttown, and I put my Roger on a chair in the middle of the U-loop, which is the way we sit in this board meeting. And at the beginning, before we started, everybody was having a conversation with somebody else. It was overwhelming. That's one of the negatives of these table mics. You got to watch it how you use it. When I go to Macabre, the brewery in Berwyn, I love going there with my family. There's only 3 of us on the table, but if I lay this down on the table, it picks up all the TVs, the zillion drunks that are in there talking loudly. So I have to remember that, oops, I need to pick it up and just point it at the 1 or 2 people I need. If I had one of the adjustable table mics, I could just push the button that points to my wife or points to my daughter and block out the other stuff. So there's ways to block out the other stuff through the programs also, but that gets a little technical, and I'm not going to go there right now. So these are examples of the mics. How can they be used? Partner mic, perfect for driving in the car. If you try driving in the car, and, you got all those noises from the road and inside the car, maybe the radio, it's impossible to hear your spouse right next to you, even though they're only a couple feet away, or your kid or somebody in the back seat. So if there's somebody you want to be talking with, could be in the back seat. Like I said, it's up to 20, 25 feet. Oh, there we go. They can be clipping this on, or they can pass it around, depending on how many people are in the car. There's also, my doctor's office. Great way to use it. Doctors are wearing masks still. I think again, this winter they're wearing masks. They sometimes are looking at their computer, which is over on the desk, and you're back here on the bed, waiting for them to check you out and going over all their notes. Neither one is a good situation. But if you're aggressive, proactive, you'll say, hey doctor, could you clip this onto your shirt? Okay, or nurse, whoever you're with. And it's perfect. It goes right here. Even though they're looking at the computer on everything, you can hear it all, because they're only a few feet away.
Now, you make it sound like the other person has to be involved with that device. Is that all the time?
For the partner mic, it's ideal that the person have it clipped on, because it needs to be 20 centimeters from their mouth, which is only about 0.6 feet. Right, it's pretty small, 0.6 feet. So yes, if the person's right next to you, it might work to do this, but it really needs to be handed to them. And I can take it off this and just give them a little, just this part. You can pass it around the car, or if there's 3 doctors in the room, or a doctor and a nurse, they can pass it around.
So if we're sitting watching TV at night, I'm telling you a real situation, and my wife wants to talk to me, it's better if she has that on.
She's sitting over there on the couch like my wife does, and I'm 10 feet away, and she's talking into her iPad all the time, and we're looking at the TV and talking to me. Absolutely. Perfect use for it.
Then do you each have one? You have one and she has one?
Say that again? She wears it. You don't, this is connected by Bluetooth to your hearing aids.
Yeah, but in that situation, she would have the mic and you would have it also?
No, only one mic. She's talking into this mic 10 feet
Because
away.
she hears you.
And she can hear me because she has good hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah. Now, if you had 2 people with hearing loss, then we got a whole different story.
okay.
So there's a lot of uses for this. I go to my audiologist of all places, and they still have the plastic up, and they have the people sitting behind the plastic asking me all these questions for check-in. I'm like, really? I'm here with deaf and ears. So slip one of these under the little opening they give you, and they can speak into that, and you can understand them. CVS, picking up, as I said earlier, picking up medicine at a counter, any kind of counter kind of thing, airport. When you go to the airport, again, it's all very loud around you, but you just slip this to them, and they can speak towards it. Very functional, multifunctional. You can even, if you're within 25 feet of the podium at church, and if you're not embarrassed, ask the priest to either put it on the lapel, but ideally, he would put it up here because he's not the only person speaking. Maybe somebody does the first 2 readings, the assistant, and then the priest does the gospel or whatever you might call it in your church. You leave it right up here on the podium, and you can hear everything throughout the mass. So a lot of uses. Table microphone. Perfect for small group meetings. Like I said, a bridge party, mahjong group, I use it for my library board meetings. I sort of shove it closer to the very quiet people. They usually sit over on the one side. Some people are very, very soft. But it's very effective in picking up 360 degrees around you. And then the multi-purpose mics, like my Roger one here, very, very useful. I can use it as a partner mic, ask my wife to put it around her neck or hold it in the car. I can use it as a table mic, like I did last night at my board meeting. So the multifunctional ones, like these three I have listed, cover everything. Downside is they're expensive. I got mine for $1,250. Somebody else told me they paid $1,700 for theirs. I don't know who their audiologist was. They got ripped off. But even at $1,250, it's not cheap. But to me, it's a godsend. I do a lot of work during the day for my nonprofits or maybe preparing the presentations. I just plug this into here with my little dangle connection, and I play music. I play classical music in the background all day long, going to my ear through this. And I can be in the other room still listening to the music 20-some feet away. So it really has a lot of functions. Zoom. If you go into a Zoom, even though they have captioning, which is not great, depending on the person's microphone on the other side, you might not be hearing them very well, or if they have an accent. So I can plug this again into here with my little dongle, and if you don't know what a dongle is, this little thing plugs into the side, plugs into the bottom of the mic, and so crisp. The voices of the 9 or 10 people that are on the Zoom meeting, it really picks up a lot. So very, very helpful. I can really vouch for the Roger, but I've never used another one, so I don't know how good the Multi-Mic and the Widex one is. They might be just as good.
I just have to say a testimonial. Brucey
Oh.
got one of those.
I'm gonna say, if you'd like to ask a question, I'll come over to you with my mic.
Okay, I would just like to give a testimony. Brucey, my husband, has really had trouble engaging in conversations for several years now. He's just become a social hermit because he just couldn't hear. And we just got this Roger on this group's recommendation a couple of months ago. And it's made an incredible difference in his ability to interact with people. It's a really miraculous device, so I strongly recommend it.
Way back there, Judy.
You go back to your example in the church where you had the priest speaking into it.
We have to hold it here now.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
Okay, at the church where you had the priest speaking into your device, would other people with similar situations be able to hear that too?
It's only the microphone. This microphone is specifically synchronized to my phone and hearing aid. Specifically a one-on-one Bluetooth connection. You just have to be within that distance, 25 feet or whatever, of the priest. So you still need to sit down in the front to be within 25 feet, depending on how far back he or she might be. But it's only going into it's a one-on-one connection. Yep. Good question, very good question. So these are the multi-purpose mics. Next we're going to talk about something that a lot of people don't know about, called induction neck loops. And I'm going to let Judy talk about this one because I'm new to it. I just started working with an induction neck loop, but she's used it before with her Compilot, I believe.
Yep. Okay. So,
not induction neck loops. They're just to hold the mic.
Lanyards really, what we
Yeah.
should- a lanyard is the word we use for these things. This has nothing in it like she's gonna describe the neck loop has in it.
Right. So this is something that you can plug into an older phone. It also requires that you have a T-coil in your hearing aid, which not a lot of people know what that is, or not a lot of audiologists offer it. It's a great technology, but it's being replaced by the Bluetooth. So this sort of works like substitutes for the Bluetooth. It's an older technology, whereas the Bluetooth now is direct. You don't need this if you have Bluetooth and if you have the direct capability to link any of your devices with your hearing aid through the Bluetooth. But some people might have older hearing aids and they want to, you can buy things online, eBay. They have a lot of older equipment. You might not be ready to buy a new hearing aid. And this was what I used previously. Basically, this is a neck loop, and it's attached to the Compilot. And I would wear it, and by wearing it, it creates a magnetic field into my hearing aid. So basically, it works with the mics also, just the way Mike was describing the mics with the Bluetooth. So this is like the substitute pre-Bluetooth. And you could buy these little mics, and then this is the first version of the Roger. Now, Mike has been talking about the Roger On. This is a Roger Pen, and it basically works the same way. It has a little gyro in it, so if you lay it down, it picks up a meeting, a group meeting. If you hold it like this, or a person can hold it like this, then it works like a microphone. Or you could wear it. So basically, it's the same as the Roger On, it's just the first kind of version. So, there's a lot of technology out there, some of which is older but still usable. And the beauty of this is that you can use it with other brands of hearing aids with this little receiver in the bottom. It pops on and off, and I don't think I can put it back on without my glasses. This enables you to use a Compilot with a different brand hearing aid other than Phonak. So if you have a different brand, it's not hopeless. The other thing that's great about this is the charger is also a TV link. So you would attach this to your audio in your TV, and this will connect to your TV, but you wear this. So it's a little complicated. So you wear this is connected to your TV, and then the sound goes right in your hearing aid. Even with any of the TV links that are available with hearing aids, other brands, the TV link is awesome because it just sends the sound right in your hearing aid from the TV. There's no echo in the room, and it's very clear and crisp. And I don't have to use the captions. I still use captions, but I'm not as needy of them. I think that's it.
Okay. Go right into more. So that's the COM pilot, C-O-M. Again, older technology, but can be useful for people who don't have state-of-the-art hearing aids and telephones, and still function, and much, much cheaper. The one on the right is also very old technology. It's called a pocket talker. $250 plus, no, $250, and that includes the induction neck loop. I don't know if Judy mentioned this. Induction neck loop is basically a mini hearing loop, like you guys have under the, or going around your room here. That's what they mean by an induction neck loop. It can talk to telecoils. So, Pocket Talker is primarily an amplifier. So if you don't want to spend money on hearing aids, but you do have some mild to moderate hearing loss, this can be very helpful for one-on-one situations if that seems to be your biggest problem. The things I talked about, the doctor's office, the pharmacy counter, any kind of counter, even in a restaurant one-on-one. This can help amplify the person's voice enough if you only have like mild to moderate hearing loss, which is also the area where they're trying to sell OTC hearing aids these days, if you've heard about those. But again, $250 comes with everything. If anybody would like to hear what this sounds like, I'd be happy to show you. You don't have to have a telecoil in your hearing aids for this to work. If you don't, you can just plug in headphones. I know you don't want to be wearing headphones everywhere or things, but it can still function and give you some abilities. All right. Let's go to the other assistive devices that are out there. We're already at an hour, so I want to move along here. We talked about caption on the cell phone. There's also the caption call landline phones like I have over here. They've been around forever. Those are free, paid for by the FCC. And if anybody would like to see a demo of it, it replaces your landline phone at home. It can be set to go off very loudly and ring loudly, and it's got nice big letters. It's got real live captioners on the other side, listening to your conversation with your grandchild or your child or whoever. And like I said, it's free. There's three, let me skip real quick. There's three people who make them. Caption Call, Hamilton Captel, and Clear Caption is sort of a newer entry into the area. If anybody's interested, again, I can show you the demo on this one at the end. And I also have a card for the person at Caption Call who loaned me this demo, but I've met and worked with a lot at outreach events. You can even get amplified phones that look very similar to this. They just ring louder in the house. If that's what you still use at home as a landline phone, you can get phones that are amplified and ring louder for you. And then there's the TV streamer, sorry.
I think anybody interested in the caption phone should know that it's also an amplified phone. It can blow
Yes,
out. It can blow out.
the caption call phones are also amplified. Or you can just buy an amplified phone if you don't want the caption, which is cheaper. You buy it on your own. But a caption phone like this, that are also amplified, are absolutely free when you buy from one of these three people. If you try to buy a caption phone and somebody is trying to charge you for it, walk away. Because it is free as long as you can show your audiologist letter that says you have hearing loss.
From whom do you buy these?
Stop one.
Sorry.
Where do you buy those phones? You said they're free, where do you get them?
Say it again?
These captioned phones, who sells them?
You call the rep for one of the three
Brands?
things. I have the card for the guy at Caption Call who gave me his phone, and I got one more These are some of the things you should ask if you're looking at a caption phone. How easy is it to operate? Have them bring it out and show you how to operate. Again, it costs you nothing, and you can drop it after a month and go to one of the other people. And they have different versions. They probably have one that has fewer bells and whistles and one that has all the bells and whistles. Look for a volume amplifier, a tone adjuster, and a loudspeaker phone. And it certainly needs to have accurate word-by-word transcriptions, which they all should have because they have live captioners on the other side taking the phone call.
That's my question about transcription. PowerPoint captioning and the phone, you enunciate so clearly, you're well spoken. What about disabilities who's very muffled or changing? Does that have the capability of also transcribing and allowing for that adaptability? I'm thinking of
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
holy. Now,
That's the hardest way.
now mumble.
We should really try to get, moving around and try to get out of here by 12 o'clock.
I think that answers my question.
Pretty good.
Thank you.
There might be foreign language translations in some of the ASR, that's what they call this, ASR captioning. I don't know, I can't speak to that. But it's important because of all the number of people with accents that are out there nowadays. Any customer service place you call and things like that, so.
Does anyone else have a caption phone now? Anybody? Okay, I've got one. And your question is excellent because the quality of the transcription depends on the quality of the speaker. The people who are doing the transcription are out in Salt Lake.
No, we're just talking to the top of it.
The people who are doing the transcription are out in Salt Lake City. They speak English. Hello, hello.
Yeah, that's good.
They speak English, but they hear whatever you put in, whatever the speaker puts in. So I get some really strange transcriptions. You just have to be a little patient. I can tell you, I think I will tell a quick, cute story. In my career, I ran focus groups with physicians, and I would get them on a tape, and then the lady that worked for me would transcribe them. So I'm reading a transcript one day, and I asked the doctor, if you have an elderly patient with a bronchial problem, where do you start? And what she transcribed was, I give her fluid for her douchebag. Well, now, that doesn't make any sense at all. So I went back and I listened to the tape, and the doctor says, I give them a flu shot and Pneumovax. So the quality of your transcription depends entirely on what the person said. The people at Salt Lake are very good with their transcribing, as good as they can be.
I understand that. I took part in a Google program where people who have accents and speech impediments can talk into Google, and they use that in their algorithms to improve the ability to understand what people are saying. It's just interesting.
Again, I will certainly say that Apple, Google, and other technology companies are doing a lot of research now that they have this artificial intelligence. And people with disabilities are a primary target. We had a speaker at the HLAA National Convention this summer from Amazon Prime, and they are working hard to make all of their movies very well captioned, but they can also do things like you push a button on your screen in settings, and it can make the loud noises of like a helicopter go to the background so that you can hear the voice of the person who's talking. Even though you have a sense the helicopter is there, they're trying to downplay those loud sounds for people. And it's an option that you have to be aware of, but they're doing it to every Prime movie. in their library, little by little. So they're working on it. There's a lot of good things that are going on. Okay, captioning for cell phones. I personally find it as a hit or miss. I have somebody else here who said they've used InnoCaption and not real happy with it. But there is captioning for your cell phones where your phone call, once you pick it up, you have the screen right there, whether you pick InnoCaption or Olela or these others, and it's captioning what is going on between you and the person on the other side. My problem, I've tried 3 of them, and the little latency, the delay at the beginning is a little aggravating, especially if I'm talking to an older person like my 90-year-old mother. I dropped it. I don't need it because for the most part, because my phone goes directly to my ear, I can hear pretty clearly. And if it's a voicemail that somebody left me, and it's a little garbled, Verizon leaves you a transcription of what the voicemail was anyway, and usually between listening and looking at it, I can figure it out. So I'm not pushing this one as much. Those are excellent. The captioning apps, I think, are excellent. I think the cell phone ones still working. But they are also free, just like this one, paid for by the FCC. If you didn't know this, you've been paying a small few dollars on every phone bill ever since you had your own phone bill that goes to telecommunication for people with disabilities. And that's what's used to fund these captioning phones. I already showed you Otter and Live Caption, and there's Ava. I want to make sure we just cover some of the alerting safety devices. There's alarms and bed shakers. I use one because, like I said, I'm deaf when I have to recharge these overnight. So I have what's called the sonic boom, and it is a sonic boom when it goes off. And you can set it to just alarm for the boom. Now, it's not a boom to me because I'm deaf, so to me it's just like loud enough to wake me up. But you could also put that round thing I held up as a bed vibrator. You put it under your pillows, and it vibrates pretty good. And it can help wake you up. If you're one of those people that may be really deaf and doesn't hear as much, you have the vibrator there to wake you up. And there's also some of these that will flash vibrating lights, if that's what you need to wake up. You can get all these 3 things at once, depending on which phone you buy. And there's a lot of them out there. They're not sold by the hearing aid companies. They're sold by different communication companies. The most popular catalog for hearing loss stuff is called Diglo. They used to be called Harris Communications. And we have a couple of them over here. You can get them online too. You can find them online and find everything. But Diglo is the primary one that we've always used. And there's a lot to choose from, so I'm not even going to try to cover all the different things they can do. So you can, like I said, you can get lights, loud alarms, vibration. And that doesn't just have to be your alarm clock. You can get the same kind of stuff from doorbell ringers. If somebody's walking up your walkway, you can have motion detectors that go off inside your house if you want to be alerted when somebody's coming up your house late at night and you're not expecting anybody. There are a lot of safety devices that can be very useful. There's wireless doorbells that will ring very loud in wherever you happen to put the indoor piece. There's the Nest camera, which is by Google, seems to be the most popular camera that people put up outside so they can watch via their phone. Even if they're not home, they can see people maybe walking up and stealing their Amazon package or whatever. Or you can be in your house late at night and watch on the camera people coming up the walkway. there's just too many of these learning instruments for me to talk about, other than to give you the general categories, but they're all in here and they're broken down by category.
I don't think you know this, but I put together the sheet. It has QR codes and the website, and it has assisted listening. So the Diglo was what Mike was just talking about. Then there's this, which I can't read well, hearing aid. Now this one is just for apps that would work with your hearing aids. So they're not general. Is this picking up right?
Yeah.
And then Williams is the one that has just about everything, like it's talking about. And also the Bellman and Semphon. And another popular thing is TV ears. I just threw that
Keep
one
turning
there.
your face, the microphone needs to stay in front of your mouth.
Okay, so if anybody, it's just a sheet with information.
And one other sheet I have up here, but I only have one of them, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll leave it, and I'll leave it with Lee, and if somebody wants copies of it, I forgot to make a bunch of copies. But it's a list of all smartphone apps and accessories for hearing loss, and there's about 15 categories on here. So just worth looking at and testing out if there's some particular category like captioning or alerting or something that you want some help with. This is just an example of a multi-purpose alarm. It will flash lights if it's smoke. It will also be used as a bed alarm if you want, or a CO2 alarm. Again, there's so many different options in these catalogs. But you just have to look at it and think about what it is that you want for your situation. A lot of people aren't aware of this. Temple University has an Institute on Disabilities, and they have a group called Tech OWL. The OWL for the Temple OWL, but it also stands for Our Whole Lives, Technology for Our Whole Lives. They have a lending library. So if you wanted to try out one of these alarm units, something like that, or some kind of technology, they will mail it to you. And you can borrow it and use it for a couple months and see if it works. If it fits what you need, then go out and buy one. They also, I found out, have I want to call it a second-hand warehouse. I ran into them at the Hearing Expo 2 weeks ago, and they had a table full of used instruments that you got for free. And I picked up that sonic boom alarm clock there for free. So it's an unknown entity, but it can be very helpful. I even have the card of the woman who is in charge of it if somebody wants it at the end, or techalpa.org. Steve's going to quickly talk about one last symptom, and then we're done. You think? Yes.
Well, good morning. I'm Steve Sugarts. I'm the president of HLAA Chester County. And I just wanted to thank you all for coming, first of all. If you left your email address and you checked off you'd like to receive emails, that's great. If you thought you might not want to and you just want to check it off, we only send out a few a month. But 2 of them are really good. It's the newsletter, which has a wealth of information, and it's 1 email. You get it once a month. So it's not, we won't hit you hard with emails. And I'm really here to show you many people, you go to the theater sometimes, not the theater so much, I mean the live theater, presentations like People's Light or some downtown, or you go to the art museum, they'll have a thing like this. And what it'll come with is, it's called an FM receiver. So they have an FM signal with the audio on, if you're at a meeting or something, and then you put it in your ear. Well, that's not real friendly for most people with hearing aids. So you basically pull that out and you pick up a jump wire, and I had to actually get an adapter. And you plug that in, and you plug this into your assisted listening device, like your hearing aids or something. This is, usually they provide this, so all you need to take with you is the wire and plug it into your, hopefully if you have a microphone, like he's talking about, a Roger mic or a clip one. But the newest thing now is they'll provide you with a streaming device similar to this, and it'll go right into your hearing aids. Bluetooth again, bing, it's in there, you hear everything, and it's clear. Thanks for coming, by the way.
Anybody have a specific question you want to ask? Or as well, we'll be hanging around up here if you have any of the pieces that we have, the demos you want to see, and ask a question on as well. If anybody has any general question from the audience, feel free.
Thank you. My sister sent me an app a while ago called Listen Everywhere. And if you've already mentioned this, then I'll talk to you later. But does it work?